position in the Caro Kann I wanted to look at in this series was the two knights. And for a long time, it was felt that bishop g4 here was pretty much the only move, and there's so many lines for white to choose from, and recent books have shown that black's doing quite well versus the two knights. But again, it's solid positions, not a lot of theory to remember. Normally it would be my forte, but it's a bit too solid. Sometimes I want to get some dynamic in my position, get that dynamic play. So knight f6, and after e5, knight e4, and we got a number of different branches here. Knight e2 is the most common in practice, but let's start with the least, d3. And the thing with this position is we've doubled the pawns, and I want to think fixed French. So knight c6, bishop g4. We're not really concerned about h3, as we're going to get this type of position with c4 and g6. And a lot of these lines are going to have a winnower feel to them, where black can gradually get his king to the queen side and start playing on the king side. And after castles, bishop h5, and like I said again, can get a real winnower feel with c4, and our king can get safe on the queen side. And in this case, tactically, white got worked a little in this game, and I really like this system overall, as not too much difficulty out of the opening to play here against d3. So let's take a look at the next one with d4. And keep in mind still that winnower French idea. So c4 could be played here, but after e6, check was played, and then c4. And like I said, after doing Master of the French Defense and having the bonus chapters on the winnower, I felt right at home looking at these lines where black is having the breakthrough and getting good play here. And this is following a game from Rajabov Laquang Liam from 2020, and black went on to win. So coming back, knight e2 is the main line. And there's some very, very intriguing positions coming up here. So first, queen b6, I want to threaten mate. He stops that. And the only move theoretically that seems to be just okay for black, the rest of them not so great, e6. And you go, well, isn't one of the main points of the Caro Kann versus French as I get my bishop outside the chain? You just don't have time to do it here. Stick with me on this. e6 is the move. So now, knight g to f1. Now this is a bit kooky, because we're seeing white move his knights a whole lot. But there's an actual legitimate reason here. If you notice, our knight on e4 doesn't have any safe squares to move to at this time. f3 would seal the deal on our knight. So we need an escape square. So we play f6. And after f3, this position is currently doing a little bit better for white than for black, but it gets such an interesting position that I have trouble not playing this system still. And after knight e6, the bishop pair is the bishop pair, friends. And this is a game where Samsevian had black and went on to win this game. And I apologize for those who want me to go absolutely slow through everything. This is more of a focus on the opening theory and some of the key ideas. So I typically go through games at about this pace when I'm looking at games for the ideas and try to highlight those memory markers and significant points of interest. So for instance, with this line, f6 is a legitimate requirement after knight g1 for an escape square for our knight. Now, for the line that makes this speculative for black. Knight g3 is the main line overall. We play for our standard French break with c5, and after bishop d3, knight takes g3, where we have a splitting of two different systems. H takes g3 or f takes g3. And it's these lines with f takes g3 that's giving black some problems, which is making Caro Kann players go, we'll stick with the old school bishop g4, two knights, the old main lines. But if you're willing to speculate some, these lines are worth a look-see. So first, let's go with h takes g3 before we get to the main event. And after cd4, knight g5. And here, I'm not really concerned with the h7 pawn at all, because we're going long, we're safe, getting our pieces into it. And this is a theme that is going to pop up in multiple variations moving forward in order to get some breathing room. So keep in mind, with a knight on g5, we have this knight takes e5 followed by f6 plan, and we've got the potential of a giant pawn mass in the center, which we're going to be playing for. And black just gets a good game here, being able to have the big threats. And this is a game from St. Petersburg 2018. So coming back after knight takes g3, f takes g3 is the other way to go. And what makes this more dangerous is that when white plays knight g5 after white has castled, f7 is hit as well. So we need to be very careful moving forward how to handle this position. First, we're going to take the pawn. Then we're going to play knight c6. And first point of interest, we're covering f7, because if knight g5, we have knight takes e5. So now white plays queen e2. He's covering e5, so we no longer have that defensive resource. So now h6 to stop knight g5. a3, he's trying to take more space with b4. We're not having it. g4, bishop d7, and after g5, he's still fighting to get the knight on g5. We're not having it. We're going long. Now we're about to get tropical in the position. So we're back to this plan again that we saw in the h takes g3 variation. I allow the knight to get to g5 because I can get the ball rolling with knight takes e5 followed by f6. And I really liked this example game overall. You can't take the rook on d8 because of the mate threat on h2. Do it with tempo if you're going to do it. Bishop c5. And black is getting reasonable play here. e5 was more to the point immediately, but he definitely gets the idea in. And these are not the easiest positions in the world to play for black, but when I analyzed, I felt pretty good about how black played this game in conjunction with that open F file and dealing with the threats. And this is another game by Laquang Liam, where he has black, and he does justice to this queen and pawn endgame with the further advanced pawn. Gradually gets his king to a safe space, and it takes time in these queen and pawn endings. And finally, makes enough progress to get that second queen and getting the win. So major takeaways, if you're interested in this system, bishop g4 is the old school main line. Knight f6 has gained some popularity. When playing the sidelines, think about the move c4 to lock it up where you're planning on going queenside. So see this type of structure. And when you're facing the main line with knight e2, queen b6 is the first memory marker, followed by a French structure. Don't let your knight get stranded on e4. We need to play for f6. And if we're playing against the knight g3 main line, we're going to grab, and the key idea from here on out is protect f7. So protect f7. And I like how as soon as we castle queenside. We have the interesting idea, the defensive and yet tactical motif of takes, followed by f6, where we get a very, very interesting game for both sides to explore. So hopefully you enjoyed this aggressive two knights line and the overall opening themes that you need to watch out for the variations.